Hey guys, welcome back. So I was looking at Facebook Marketplace the other day, as I'm sure we all do when we're kind of bored or spending some time in the office. And I came up with a little project, a little side project I wanted to try to knock out real quick in between the Mustang. I'm not gonna say I was burned out on it, but I've been grinding away at the Mustang. Was just looking to mix it up a little bit, just get the thought process in a different place, and then come back to it. Maybe look at the Mustang some fresh eyes. Um, so I found this, picked it up for like 250 bucks. Hopefully, it's going to be a good thing for the kids to ride around if I can get it up and running before the snow goes away. So let me flip you around and I'll show you what we picked up. 1994 Safari Deluxe Ski-Doo. Picked it up. It's kind of rough. I mean, the chassis is real solid. There's no rust. Seems to have been, at least in its early years, maintained pretty well. It seems the last registration is from 2011. But you can see up there, the seat is real rough. I've got the gas tank here. Air box is right there. It's got a little Rotax. Let me pop this up. 377. I'll show you what we do. Before I bought it, I do a couple checks on it, and I'll show you what I do before I buy something like this, and I'll bring you back here in a second. I'll set you up on something, and we'll go from there. All right. So when I'm going to look at something like this, the first thing I do is I just kind of go through, make sure all the controls work, all the buttons move, throttles, linkage is all moving in there. On this one, I could see down in there and see it. Brake level, I don't know if the brake is looking, but it's just a cable brake, and the cable is working, so at least there, all I got to do is maybe fill up the caliper on that if it needs it. And then the next thing on something, especially something like this, it's been sitting, and it seems like it had been sitting outside. There's a bunch of trash on it, and it looks like the mice had got into it. I want to make sure that the engine is freed up. So, and I did this. I'm going to show you what I do, but I'm going to show it to you so you guys can see the compression on it. But I did this before I bought it. And if somebody's not willing to let you do a compression test on something like this, it takes 2 seconds to do it, then you probably should go ahead and walk away from it. Because they're probably trying to hide something. Oh, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but I'll show it to you after I do it. So, hold the throttle open, and pull away. At 100 and a little over 90 on the first pull. Just under 150 on the compression, and from what I saw, what I found online, that is a pretty good number for this engine. So, there again, just under 150 again. Pretty good compression there. I don't know if you guys will be able to see the spark or not. can see this. I don't know if you guys can see in there or not. So that's the thing I did want it before I bought it. Now, probably go into a time lapse because I'm going to clean this up. Get the vacuum out and do all that. All right, guys, the phone just stopped recording the video there, and I did a bunch of diagnosis and didn't get to record any of it. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview. What I did is basically it had an aftermarket CDI box in it, but the factory one was still sitting there. I don't really trust other people's diagnosis, so I figured to start from the scratch where it was set up before the other guys started looking at it and start over again. So I hooked up the CDI box, checked the spark. There was spark, but I don't know. Some people can tell they see weak spark or whatever, but it looked okay to me. But one thing I do know with those, sometimes the connections, because on two-strokes and stuff like that, the boot just screws onto the plug wire and then into the CDI box too. It's like a little stud in there, and you put it in there and it hooks up to the wire. So I pulled those off, pulled the boots off, pulled it off the wire off the CDI box, trimmed that back a little bit, hooked everything up, put a little bit of premix in it, and it fired right off. I'll show you a video of it firing off here. But first, let me show you what I was talking about with what I did. All right. So I got the old CDI box back on there. The wire there is just twisted. The other person cut it and just done that. And then there's the plug wires. And these boots, they just kind of, there's a little stud in here, and you can pull that off and push it back on. So what I did, and here's one of the pieces. I think this is off of one of the plugs there. And if you can kind of see in there, it just pushes down there. There's some stranded wire in there. And sometimes after a long time, that connection gets bad, and this is kind of brittle. So I cut it off and reattached this one, and then I did the same thing on the CDI box, and it started right off. Well, not right off. You'll see it takes a few pulls, but it's just some premix down the cylinders, and that's about it. Okay, got Got some premix in there. Heard that there? Kind of popped off. So the other thing I did too was I ran the carbs through the ultrasonic cleaner. Just pulled them apart real quick, pulled all the jets, all the pilot tubes, everything out of it. Ran it through the ultrasonic cleaner and put it back together. I didn't really rebuild them per se, other than just cleaning them up and throwing them back together. Didn't video it. Was just knocked it out in between making or eating dinner and hanging out with the family and putting kids to bed. But you see they cleaned up. They look pretty decent. The insides are about the same. I'm going to wait now. I ordered some new fuel line to run new fuel line down to the, you can see the fuel pump down there. I'm going to run all new ones. These are kind of hard and brittle. And I'm going to run new, that's for the primer. It's kind of like, it pumps in fuel for make it start a little bit. It's similar to a choke. And then I'm going to run some new lines for the oil pump too. It looks like they're leaking a little bit on the feeds from the pump up to the oil injectors. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. See you once I get some of the parts I ordered in, or the fuel line and oil line once I get it back in. Later. Bye.